Good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. You all listen, I've been working so hard today. 8 o'clock almost crept up on me. I didn't even realize it. But listen, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just joining for the very first time, if this is your first time perusing past my channel, do me a favor. Please stop. Give me only 1,800 seconds because I promise you, that's all I need. I'm trying to just offer motivation, inspiration, encouragement, trying to challenge us to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that we lost today. It doesn't mean that we failed today. It doesn't mean that we fumbled today, but it means that we're just taking the moment to do some introspection to see how can I show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today? Are there any lessons that today can present to me that I can use them and show up better tomorrow? Is there anything that I can glean from this whole day that will make me a little bit better tomorrow than I was today? All right. And we typically do that by reading from my seventh book, Billboards to Better. I'll tell you about it in just a moment, but I want to do like I always do. I want to start by asking you this question. Do you read the fine print? How often do you read the fine print? How often do you read the fine print of the things that you purchase, the thing that you buy, the gift that you've been given? Are you the kind of person who reads the fine print, or do you just sort of just gloss right over it? You don't pay attention to the fine print. I want to know if that's you. Do me a favor, you all. Tell somebody to come on. Let's talk to Cutler, because we're going to talk about how to handle the fine print of life. All right, I'm going to talk about it as soon as I come right back. But do me a favor, if you're passing by for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, then do me a favor, do a thumbs up on the conversation. I hope, pray, and promise that I'm going to do something to try to make you enjoy the conversation. I'll be right back after this. Tell somebody, come on, let's talk to Cutler.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
All right, I'm back, and we're going to talk about how do we handle the small prints of life? How do we handle the details? But before I start talking about that, again, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click the notification bell. It simply lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. Now, I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs for the evening. All right. Yeah, thank you. Queen of them all says, hit that like button and share. Please, you all make sure that you do that. But listen, let me go ahead and shout out the LTTC VIPs for the evening. The LTTC VIPs are the top 3 people who usually jump into the chat that particular evening. The first one is Natural Diva, who says, good evening all. T. Cutler says, good evening all. And then Mrs. Queen of the Mall says, hi, family. I'm chuckling because I'm just reading the comments. One person says, hey, I'm watching from my hot tub. I always say, I'm thankful. Whatever space you allowed me to share. I didn't necessarily know that anybody was going to share the hot tub, but thank you. Whatever space you've allowed me to share, whatever space you've invited me in to offer these words of motivation, inspiration, I'm thankful. Hot tub, front porch, back porch, the jogging trail, the biking trail, wherever it is. Thank you all so much. Listen, we are reading from my 7th book, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. There's a quote for every day. This book shares a quote for every single day. So I tell you all what, go on over to Amazon.com and pick it up. Go to Amazon.com and pick it up. You don't need it to join the conversation, but it helps. So again, I want to talk about this whole notion of reading the fine print. And I want to start by sharing the quotes. You all know how we do. 1,800 seconds, I usually share 2 or 3 quotes. And today is the 26th. So that means I'll be sharing the quote it's Tuesday. I'll be sharing the quotes for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So let's see how many of these I can get through. I want to start with the quote for October 25th. The quote for October 25th says this: whenever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. Whenever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. When I was growing up, I had two older brothers. I still have two older brothers, thank God. But when I'm growing up, I think about my two older brothers who were notorious for putting things together without reading the fine print. We would put together model cars, and they would always have leftover pieces. I didn't. And as we got older, we would put together things like desks and chairs and tables, and without fail, you all, they would always have extra screws left over. And they would sometimes laugh at me and they would joke me because it took me a little longer because I would read all the fine print. But what I discovered was that some of the most valuable information, guess what? And details were embedded in the fine print. You all know I'm going to try to make sense out of this and make it make sense, right? The fine print told me how to avoid mishandling the items. The fine print told me how to care for and increase the usefulness of the product. The fine print gave me the instructions on how to be a responsible owner of the thing that I had been given or the thing that I had purchased. Y'all know I really want to go somewhere with this, right? And my reminder this evening is that we don't forget to read the fine print that comes along with the things that we have been given in life. Don't forget to read the fine print. This is a reminder that for every gift you receive, there also comes a set of responsibilities. In other words, for everything that you have, as this quote says, for everything that you have, there comes the responsibility to do. That's what this quote says. Whenever you get the privilege to have, you also get the responsibility to do. And not just do haphazardly or casually or negligently, you all, but to do intentionally and purposefully and responsibly. For every gift that you've been given, you also have been given the responsibility to be a good steward over that thing. You all know where I'm going. Whether your gift is a skill, whether it's a talent, whether it is a calling, whether it is a tangible item, or whether your gift is even a person who comes into your life, you have the responsibility to use, to manage, to support, to nurture, to protect, to execute, and to safeguard. I'm telling you, you really do, you all. Why is this important? It's important because when it comes to receiving a gift, it's all about the relationship, and not just the relationship that you have with the gift, but it's also about the relationship that you have with the giver. And if you ever want to mess up a relationship with the giver, mess around and mishandle the gift. Y'all know I'm from the country. I'll throw in that, mess around and mishandle the gift. Have you ever given someone something and then you were so disappointed with how they handled it until you said within yourself that you would never give them anything else? Or at least you would not give them something of that caliber or of that magnitude? I know I have. I have, and all these examples are just dancing around in my head. I'm telling you all, I think I've shared with you all that I have like 25 nieces and nephews, including my great nieces and nephews. One of my nephews is a true diehard New York Yankees fan. And a few years ago, I bought him this watch with the New York Yankees logo. It wasn't a cheap watch either. And while he was visiting, I noticed that he would take it off and just leave it lying around. So much so that when he left and went back home, guess what he did? Left the watch here in my house. So you all know what I did. If that nephew is watching, I know he remembers this. I would talk to him occasionally and I would ask him, how are you enjoying the watch? And at first he would tell me how much he was enjoying it. Now, you all, he left the watch here at my house, but he would tell me how much he was enjoying the watch. And then finally he got the nerve to tell me that, I misplaced it. I kind of lost it. As you can imagine, I wasn't too thrilled with the fact that he had been lying to me. So I told him that if that's how he's going to treat anything or treat the things that I gave him, then he wouldn't have to worry about me giving him another gift. Not like that. Not like that. So as you can imagine, he has never received another watch from his uncle. No, not of that magnitude, not of that caliber. Absolutely not. And I know that that's a relatively kind of lighthearted lesson, but you all, when the stakes are higher, when the gifts are more significant, then so is the relationship with the giver. So is right, the case of the missing watch. But when the stakes are higher, so is the relationship with the giver. It ought to be our goal to be a good steward over everything, every situation, every place, every person that comes into our life. When I was growing up, you all often hear me talk about the things and the lessons that I learned from my mother. My mother sometimes said to me, says to me even now, I just don't remember necessarily teaching you all of that stuff, but there were some things that she modeled for us, some things that she taught by precept and by example. And one of the things that my mother taught me when I was growing up was to do good with the little that you have. We learned that. Mom modeled for us what it meant to take care and do good with the little that you have. And as I've gotten older, I've discovered that when you do good with the little that you have, you open your heart and your life up to have more. May I say that to somebody who's listening this evening or who would just tune in at some point. When you do good with the little that you have, you open your heart and your life up to have more. I'm telling you, one of the best ways to get more money is by being a good steward over the little money that you have. One of the best ways to increase the number of good people in your life is by being a good steward over the few good people who are already there. It's true, you all. It's just something that I've learned. And one of the best ways to strengthen your relationship with the giver is by respecting and safeguarding the gifts that we've been given. I want you to know that whatever gift you have, whatever talent you have, whatever uniqueness you have, whatever charisma you have, whatever intellect you have, whatever skills you have, whatever charm you have it because God is trusting you with it. You just didn't get it. You just didn't get it all willy-nilly, but you got it. You were given that because God is trusting you with it. And it is not yours to do exclusively with it what you want, but it's yours to help make the world a better place. It's yours to help lift the hung down heads of people that you encounter. It's yours to help put a smile on the faces of people who only know how to frown, you all. It is your gift to help offer hope to people who only see themselves in darkness. Yes, it's yours, but not yours to do exclusively with it what you want. You got to read the fine print. With every gift comes the responsibility. With the gift comes a set of instructions on how to handle it. So whatever you've been given, Vertus, you put it in the quote in the chat before I could get there. Whatever you have been given, it indeed is yours. But don't forget that with everything you have, you also have the responsibility to do. You all know where I'm going. Do the right thing. Give God a return on his investment. It is the whole story of the talents, the parable of the talents. Whether you've been given 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, make sure that you give God a return on his investment in you. You want to strengthen your relationship with the giver. All right. So do good with the stuff that you've been given. All right. Do good, do right by the stuff that you've been given, because whenever, as the quote says, whenever you get the privilege to have, whenever you get a gift and you have the pleasure of having, the privilege of having, you also get the responsibility of doing what, Cutler? Doing right by it. So I want to do something that I don't typically do. I want to pause right here and talk about the stuff that we sometimes have been given. So may I share with you a poem that I wrote, and it is titled, Keep Your Stuff. I know we're chatting from this book right here, Billboard to Better. I get it, and we are on our way to better. But I want to read a poem from one of my books. It's also over there on Amazon.com. The book is called Thoughts Keep Flowing, and the title of this poem is Keep Your Stuff. All right? Keep your stuff. Life gives us stuff like gumballs and snowballs, snowfalls and melts, snowflakes and milkshakes, God knows what else. Attitude and aptitude, altitude goes higher. Runaway, no time to pray, my soul is on fire. Moonbeams and simple things like red, white, and blue. What's on my mind, I've got no time, there's too much left to do. The intensity is killing me. There's music in my head. I can't protest, can't stop to rest. There's too much to be said. Forget the shame, ignore the pain. There is a way to win. Stay in the race, pick up the pace. A crown is at the end. Hold on to your stuff. This particular poem really is about doing right by the stuff that you've been given. And as one of the fellow passengers have already said in the chat this evening, there's a quote that says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things." Do good with the few that you've been given. Read the fine prints. Be responsible. And when you do good when you do good by the few things that you've been given, when you are responsible, you will discover that you will become the owner and the possessor of the many. All right, listen, I only have 1,800 seconds, but that quote came from this book right here, Billboards to Better. I got to get to the next quote. Yeah, I'm telling you, some of you say, I'm reading the chats. My job, I always do my best. I'm thankful for. Yeah, so do your best. Do good by the things that you've been given. Your job, your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. We got to do good by everything. Read the fine prints with everything that come in life. You want to know how some relationships have failed? Because we didn't do right by them. And I'm not just talking about marriage, but I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about parents and children. Some relationships have failed. Why? Because we did not read the fine prints. Almost like my brothers who would put together those model cars and those chairs and the desk and the tables without reading the instructions. Sometimes we just assume that we know how to do it, and we don't read the instructions. We don't seek the guidance. All right, I got to move on, you all. I've got to move on. I want to get to the quote for October the 26th, the one for today. And it says, God handles guilt much better than we do. Oh, my Lord, God handles guilt much better than we do. He keeps it and offers us grace instead. He knows how to handle the guilt. He keeps the guilt and offers us grace instead. How many of you have ever heard the saying, don't pour salt on an open wound? Can you imagine? Got a cut, a bruise, and just pouring salt on an open wound? Or maybe you've heard, no need to kick a dead horse. Doesn't make sense. The thing is already dead. It's not going to get any deader. Or don't step on people when they're already down. Have you all heard any of those quotes? When people are already living in and with guilt, I think one of the most insensitive things that another person can do is to constantly throw the guilt in their face. I'm going to talk about guilt for just a moment, you all. If I made a mistake or a bad choice or a bad decision, I already have to live with that, and I don't need someone constantly throwing that in my face. Instead, what I need is support and encouragement as I try to rehabilitate myself from the poor choices and the decisions that I've already made. We got to learn how to handle guilt, y'all. We so often talk about being good stewards over everything, but let's learn how to be good stewards over guilt. I'm trying to rehabilitate myself from the poor choices and decisions I made. I'm already guilty. I'm dealing with the guilt. I'm dealing with the shame. I'm already beating myself up, and I don't need you to beat me up any further. Some of you know by now that I'm a big proponent of being able to forgive yourself. I'm a big proponent of being able to stand in the mirror and say to yourself, I extend mercy to you. I accept forgiveness. I offer you grace. I've got to learn how to stand in the mirror and say that. And for as much as we've been talking, I've discovered that some of us don't quite know how to do that. Learn how to stand in front of the mirror. Look at the person in the mirror, square your shoulders and look them dead in the face. That's country. Look them dead in the face. And say to the person looking back in the mirror, I extend to you mercy. And I accept forgiveness. And I offer you grace. Why can I say that, you are? Because I know what it is like to be held hostage emotionally and psychologically by the failures of your past. Tell you, no, I didn't always make good decisions. I didn't always make the best decisions, and neither did some of us. But it does us no good to constantly be beaten over the head when I'm already living with the guilt. I hope I'm speaking to somebody. We've got to do it, y'all. I'm working very hard to learn how to forgive myself. So I don't listen. You've got to say to people, I'm working hard to forgive myself. So I don't need you to incarcerate me when I'm trying to liberate me. Any of us, many of us, sometimes we know what it's like to be able to forgive everybody except ourselves. I know I do. I know what it's like to live in a space where I think that God loves everybody except me. Been there, done that. Won the trophy and still got the t-shirt and the scars. I know what it's like to live in a constant and continuous space of self-condemnation, self-loathing, self-hatred, self-depreciation. I know what it's like to live in that space. But may I help somebody this evening? One of the things that I'm so glad about, you all, is that I've lived long enough to learn this. I've lived long enough to learn this, that there is no space, no place where you have gone that you cannot be covered by grace. That's just one of my life lessons, one of the truths of my life that I want to share with you all this evening. There is no space, no place where I've gone that I cannot be covered or recovered by grace. Life would never lead us into anything that grace can't pull us out of. I need to hold on to my chair as I say that. Life would never lead us into anything, any situation, or any circumstance that grace cannot pull us out of. So let me tell you, let me tell you, may I offer a suggestion to you how to handle guilt? Its sole purpose ought to be to reroute your future. That's the purpose of guilt. Let its only purpose be to reroute your future. Why could you say that? Or why do you say that, Cutler? I say it because guilt was meant to exist in the present and not persist in the future. Guilt was never meant to go with you in the future. So if it's with you in the present, let it stay in the present and reroute your future. Don't take guilt into your future. You might take regret, you might take recovery, you might take all of those things, but don't take guilt. Leave guilt in the past. Leave it in the past. Some of us are dealing with a whole lot of issues. Some of us didn't marry when we had the opportunity. Some of us didn't have children when we had the opportunity. Some of us didn't pursue certain careers when we had the opportunity. Some of us didn't go certain places when we had the opportunity. I'm telling you all. And we didn't do a whole lot of things that we could have done when we had the opportunity. We just didn't do them. And then some of us did a whole lot of things that we should not have done. Some of us misused our time. Some of us abused our time. Some of us wasted our time. Some of us hurt people. Some of us hurt ourselves. Said some things that we should not have said. I'm talking about the guilt and the regret. I'm telling you, I've been there with all of this. Said some of the things we should not have said. Went some places we should not have gone. But guess what, you all? We might regret all of that, but we can recover from every single thing. We might regret it, but because of grace, we get to recover from every bit of it. And I can't tell you don't live with regret, but I can tell you this. Learn how to release yourself from the agony of guilt and shame that comes from failing to forgive yourself. When you fail to forgive yourself, you live with the agony of guilt and shame. I tell anybody, as an aside, I tell anybody, learn how to take responsibility for what you did. Because if you never take responsibility, you never learn how to forgive. May I say that again? If you never take responsibility, you never learn how to forgive. Everything I did wasn't grand and wonderful. Some things that I did were haphazard and horrible, if the truth be told. Let me just be honest and transparent. Everything that I said wasn't nice and kind. There were some things that I said were mean and nasty. But I take responsibility. Some actions that I took were not kind and friendly, but some of them were hurtful and vengeful, but I take responsibility. And I ask forgiveness of those people. I've asked forgiveness of those people, and I'm learning how to forgive myself. And just as quickly as I say, learn how to take responsibility, I need to share this with you all. Stop taking responsibility for some wrongdoings that you had no control over. There were some things that some of us had no control over, and we took responsibility for those things. I think about people who were abused, and they feel like they were abused because it was their fault. Absolutely not. No, it was not your fault. And I want you to learn how to forgive yourself for not forgiving yourself. I need us to be as psychologically and emotionally free as we can possibly be. I'm loving the comments because it's useless to make people feel worse than they already feel. It is an opportunity to motivate and forgive. And as we are forgiving, motivating, and forgiving each other, let's learn how to forgive ourselves. Let's learn how to receive the forgiveness. Let's learn how to give the forgiveness that we are trying to receive. And then let's give it to ourselves. Isn't it interesting that sometimes everybody can forgive us? Everybody, even God can forgive us, and we sometimes have not learned how to forgive ourselves. My offering to us this evening is the power and the gift of self-forgiveness. I have another offering, the ability to read the fine print in life. All right, the ability to read the fine print in life. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and I got a few more seconds left. So I want to do what we've done over these past few weeks. I want to put us back on Word Guard. I want us to speak positivity into our lives, into the lives of everyone who's connected with us. And I want to use the letter R. I want you to give me some I am statements, and then I am blank. And let that blank begin with the letter R. Because as we are forgiving ourselves, and as we are reading the fine print, I want us to speak positivity over our lives, beginning with the letter R. I am. And you all talk to me for just these next few seconds, just before we go off. But something that begins with the letter R. I am. And as you all are beginning to type in these letter R's while we're on Word Guard, remember, Word Guard for us is just a moment of positivity. It's about speaking over our lives and the lives of other people. Let us go on Word Guard tonight with the letter R. I am. You all talk to me. And I will tell you, you are radiant. You emit light. You shine light wherever you go. So one I am with the R is radiant. I am resourceful. I love that. So you all know I love when these start coming in. I'm resourceful. I know even if I don't have it, I know how to find it. I am reborn. I am made new again. As a matter of fact, I am new. I am born out of the darkness of my past, and I'm born into the marvelous light. I am reaping the harvest God promised me. That means I can reap because I've sown. I've sown rightness and righteousness and goodness and love and hope and peace. And so now I am reaping the harvest that God promised me. You all keep them coming. What about I am reasonable? I know how to exercise good judgment. And I speak that over myself because sometimes we just say to people, you don't know how to think. You're always making bad choices. You're always making bad decisions. You're making. So no. Let's learn how to say over myself, I'm reasonable. You all talk to me. What? I am responsible. I am a responsible person. I know how to take my place in life. I know how to take my place on this thing called the planet Earth. I know how to take my place in society. I know how to be responsible. I know how to have ownership over the things that I have to own up to. And I know how to manage the things that I've been given. I am responsible. Thank you, Tilly. What about you all? Keep them coming. What about I'm rational? I'm a logical person. I try not to make foolish decisions, but I like to be logical. I'm rational. You all talk to me. Some of us should say, I am regal. I don't live life like a pauper, but I live life with some degree of dignity and with some degree of being impressive. I am regal. That's what regal means. I'm dignified and I am impressive. I am respectful. I give thought. I give thought to other people. I give thought to other situations and other things. So I'm respectful of other people's opinions, of other people's ideas, of other people's ways of living, of other people's cultures. I'm respectful. I am rejoicing. I'm happy about life. You will not always find me with my head hung down, but I know how to rejoice. I know how to live in the happiness of the moment and be thankful. I am robust, I am strong, and I am healthy. I am replete. I'm well stocked. I have an abundance. I am renewed. I am renewed in his word. I love that. I'm renewed in his word. It means I'm washed. It is what we're doing. Thank you for that one. It means every single day. And that's what we do here, you all. I told you that's why we gather for these 1800 seconds, because it gives us a chance to say, how can I show up better tomorrow than I did today? So I like the fact that I'm renewed by his word. I take his word and it allows me to show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did yesterday, even than I did today. I'm relentless. I don't always give up. I don't give up easily. I'll put in a fight. I'll put up a fight. I'm relentless. I have stick-to-itness. I have perseverance. You're not going to catch me giving up. And then how about I'm receptive? I'm open to new ideas, new constructs, new concepts. You all, may I say thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know some of you are like Word God. Yeah, I'm relevant. I am relevant. So I'm not just living in a world where I don't know what's going on, but I am relevant. I show up and I know how to relate to people. I know how to relate to things. I know how to relate to other cultures and other situations. I'm relevant. I'm current with the times that people are going through. I am renewed. We've talked about that one yet. I get to show up every single day, new in the newness of life. I get to shed an old person every night. I'm reliable. You can count on me. I'm true to my word. I stick to my word. I try to do the things that I say. All right, you all, thank you so much. Thank you for spending these 1800 seconds with me, a little more because of Word God, but I thank you all. I want us to learn how to read the fine print of life. Read the fine print. And then I want us to learn how to forgive ourselves and forgive others and just move on and not live in guilt, but understand that wherever I've gone, whatever I've done that may not have been so good, that for every space, I get a chance to be recovered and renewed, revived and revitalized and restored because of grace. Thank you all for spending this time with me. I've got to go, you all. So do me a favor. Keep building community. Keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up and keep your hopes up. Stay safe and stay sane. And please know this, that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Good night, everybody. Have a fantastic evening.